What if everything you thought you knew about love, power, and gender was a carefully constructed illusion? What if the stories told about women, their nature, their intentions, and their role in society were less about truth and more about comforting lies? This isn't a video about resentment, nor is it about assigning blame. This is a video about understanding power, the power women wield in ways most men fail to recognize, and the cultural myths that keep that power hidden from plain sight. Beneath the surface of everyday interactions lies a complex, often unspoken reality, a reality too unsettling for many to face. Throughout history, some thinkers have dared to peer beneath the glossy veil of romantic idealism and reveal the deeper forces at work. Their words were not designed to soothe, but to awaken, to strip away the polite facades and reveal what lies beneath. Today, we dive into those raw, uncomfortable truths about attraction, influence, and the eternal tension between illusion and reality. This exploration is not about vilifying anyone. Rather, it's about recognizing that the game of power, the will to influence, exists in different forms between men and women. It is a game shaped not by equality of sameness, but by the interplay of fundamentally different strategies shaped by biology, society, and evolution. Too often, culture paints a picture of women as gentle nurturers, angels of tenderness and love. But what if this tender mask is only part of a far more intricate design? Nature, in its indifferent wisdom, shaped female instincts around survival and influence, not through force, but through subtlety. While men may seek power through visible conquest, through status, dominance, and direct competition, women often wield power that is less obvious, yet profoundly effective. This power is not about submission or weakness. It is about strategy and influence, about emotional intelligence and social navigation. It is a form of strength that embraces softness as a weapon and gentleness as armor. To mistake charm for surrender is to miss the profound depth of this power. It is a power that moves quietly, beneath the surface, shaping loyalties, bending perceptions, and winning battles before a word is spoken. Understanding this changes how we see relationships, society, and ourselves. Instead of framing men as strong and women as weak, we begin to recognize that both are playing different, complementary roles in the same game of survival and influence. It is a dance, not a duel, and in this dance, the most dangerous moves are often the ones unseen. Now, here is where things get even more challenging. The concept of romantic love itself, often held up as the purest and most sacred of human experiences, may be less about emotional connection and more about biological imperatives dressed up in cultural narratives. Love, in this view, is not an escape into fantasy, but a pragmatic alliance shaped by unconscious drives and the will to power. Men, in particular, are prone to idolize women, projecting onto them ideals born of longing rather than reality. This projection blinds them, setting them up for disappointment when the true complexity of women, their ambitions, their desires, their calculated influence, emerges. To love with eyes wide open means recognizing these truths, not retreating into comforting myths. Society, however, has little interest in exposing these realities. Instead, it promotes narratives that idolize women, suppress male assertiveness, and encourage men to deny their own drives. It preaches equality as sameness, which erases the profound differences that make attraction and connection possible. This is the culture of illusion, a performance where appearances matter more than truth. Within this performance, men are domesticated by guilt and fear, told to tame their natural assertiveness, while women grow more powerful through emotional intelligence and social influence. This shift is not inherently good or bad. It is simply the way power evolves. But ignoring it, denying it, or pretending it does not exist leaves one vulnerable to manipulation and confusion. The lesson here is not to fear this power, but to understand it, to respect it without being naive, to see it clearly and respond wisely. The real danger lies in blindness, ignoring the rules of the game and losing to unseen forces. Of course, these ideas are difficult to hear because they challenge deeply held beliefs. They confront the comforting stories we tell ourselves about love, fairness, and gender roles, and they demand courage. courage to look beyond appearances and question the narratives fed to us by society, culture, and even our own hearts. In doing so, we are invited to rethink what strength really means. It is not simply brute force or visible dominance. Strength is clarity, self-awareness, and the ability to navigate complexity with honesty. To engage in relationships not as battles for control, but as dances of mutual power and respect. Each partner aware of their own nature and the nature of the other. In this light, masculinity and femininity are not opposing forces to be balanced or made equal, but complementary energies that create tension and attraction. This tension is not dysfunction, but the source of passion, growth, and life itself. The best relationships thrive not by erasing differences, but by honoring and challenging them. This perspective transforms how we view conflict in relationships. Conflict is not a sign of failure, but a necessary part of the dance, a spark that awakens and sharpens us. To seek only safety and sameness is to dull life's edges and lose the vitality that comes from genuine connection. But as we explore these truths, we must be careful not to become cynical or bitter. The shadow side of power can consume us if we let it. The goal is not contempt or hatred, but clarity and empowerment. To love with eyes open means seeing the whole person, the strengths, the flaws, the light, and the shadow, and choosing connection anyway. This is no easy path. It asks us to shed illusions and face realities that may be uncomfortable, but in doing so, we free ourselves from the traps of deception and disappointment. We learn to build relationships on truth, not fantasy. If this message resonates, it invites you to look at your own life with new eyes, to stop chasing illusions and start seeing people as they truly are, to respect power in all its forms and to own your own will, to power without shame or denial. Ultimately, this journey is about becoming whole, integrating all aspects of ourselves and others, embracing complexity, and choosing love not as a refuge from reality, but as a courageous act of presence and honesty. Thank you for listening to this exploration of power, love, and truth. If these ideas challenged you, inspired you, or made you think, please share this with others who might benefit. Subscribe for more thoughtful discussions that push beyond comfort and into clarity. Until next time, keep questioning, keep observing, and most importantly, keep seeing. To fully grasp these truths about power and influence, we must first unlearn much of what we have been taught. Society conditions us from childhood to see the world through rose-tinted glasses, to prefer comfort over conflict, and to embrace narratives that keep power hidden behind polished smiles and polite manners. But power, by its nature, is rarely polite or simple. It thrives in complexity, in subtlety, in layers that often elude the casual glance. When we consider the ways women have traditionally been portrayed, as delicate, nurturing, and self-sacrificing, we overlook the vast range of strategies that have evolved beneath these roles. These roles themselves can be part of a deliberate dance, an expression of strength cloaked in softness. Women's influence in many contexts is the art of shaping outcomes without overt force. Emotional intelligence, social acumen, and strategic patience become their tools, allowing them to bend circumstances and relationships toward their ends without the blunt instruments of power so often associated with masculinity. This is not to suggest that one form of power is superior to another. Rather, it is to recognize that power wears many faces: the warrior's sword and the diplomat's handshake, the CEO command and the quiet sway of affection. They all achieve influence, but through different methods. Understanding this diversity is crucial for anyone who wishes to navigate human relationships with wisdom. At the heart of this understanding lies a key insight: power is about survival and growth, not dominance for its own sake. Every living being acts to assert its will to continue, to flourish, and to shape the environment in its favor. Men and women approach this goal differently, shaped by biology, but also by centuries of cultural evolution. Men, historically, have often expressed power through direct competition. Physical strength, territorial defense, and displays of dominance have long been markers of masculine status. Women, on the other hand, have honed the skill of influence, of winning allies, managing social networks, and using emotional connection as a means of negotiation. Both strategies require intelligence and courage, but they operate on different planes. What happens when these strategies meet in relationships? This is where the dance becomes intricate, where misunderstanding often arises. Men may misinterpret emotional subtlety as weakness, and women may see blunt force as aggression. Each side's natural tactics can feel alien or threatening to the other, leading to conflict and confusion. Yet, it is within this dynamic tension that attraction is born. The difference between masculine and feminine energies creates a magnetic pull, a push and pull that keeps relationships alive and evolving. This polarity is not a problem to solve but a condition to embrace. To expect men and women to behave identically or to seek equal expressions of power is to flatten the very forces that create passion and connection. When we lose sight of this, relationships become transactional and dull, stripped of mystery and vitality. The richness of difference is replaced by a bland sameness, and with it, the spark fades. True intimacy requires recognizing and honoring the unique power each partner brings. Now, let us look closer at the illusion of romantic love that many hold dear. Culture often sells love as a fairy tale, a perfect union where vulnerability is met with unconditional acceptance, where pain is absent, and where the beloved embodies all our desires without flaw. But reality tells a different story. Love in its rawest form is messy, complicated, and sometimes painful. It is not a retreat into fantasy but a confrontation with another's full humanity, including their shadows and contradictions. It requires courage to see a person fully and to accept them without illusions. This kind of love is not about surrender but about partnership, two wills meeting and negotiating power in a constant dance. Much of the heartbreak and disillusionment we experience comes from the gap between expectation and reality. We fall in love with an idea, not a person. When the mask falls away and the real person stands before us, the dream shatters. This is painful, but also necessary. The wisdom here is to approach love not as a refuge from reality, but as a challenge to grow. To love someone fully is to love their complexity and to engage honestly with the power dynamics between you. This means acknowledging desires, boundaries, and the ways you both influence and are influenced. In doing so, you reclaim your own power rather than surrendering it to illusion. You become an active participant in the relationship, not a passive victim of circumstance or projection. This is why self-awareness is so vital. Understanding your own drives, your fears, and your needs allows you to see others more clearly. When you know yourself, you are less likely to be swept away by false ideals or manipulated by emotional games. Power, after all, is not just about exerting control over others, it is about mastering oneself. It is the ability to remain grounded, to act with intention rather than reaction, and to navigate complexity with grace. This inner mastery is rare because it requires facing uncomfortable truths about oneself. It means acknowledging your own shadows, the jealousy, the insecurity, the need for approval, and choosing to rise above them. It demands discipline and honesty, yet it is this mastery that enables you to engage with others authentically and powerfully. It frees you from the need to control through manipulation or aggression because your strength comes from clarity and presence. When men develop this kind of strength, they become less reactive to the subtle influence women wield. They see beyond charm and softness to the intentions beneath. This does not mean they become cynical or distrustful, but that they cultivate respect grounded in reality. Similarly, when women recognize their own power as a form of influence, they can wield it consciously rather than unconsciously. This awareness allows for more honest relationships where power is shared, not hidden or denied. The goal, then, is not domination by either sex but a balanced dynamic where power is acknowledged and integrated. This balance does not erase differences but honors them, creating relationships that are alive, vibrant, and real. As we look at society at large, we can see how these dynamics play out on a grand scale. Cultural narratives that deny or distort the power of women create confusion and resentment on both sides. Men may feel emasculated or powerless, while women may feel undervalued or forced to conceal their true nature. Breaking free from these narratives requires courage and critical thinking. It means questioning the stories fed to us by media, education, and tradition. It means seeking truth even when it challenges our comfort zones. This process is not easy. It involves wrestling with conflicting ideas and emotions. It requires patience with ourselves and others. But the reward is profound: a clearer understanding of human nature and a deeper capacity for genuine connection. In embracing these truths, we also find freedom from the tyranny of illusions, from unrealistic expectations, and from the pressure to perform roles that do not fit. We gain the power to create relationships based on honesty and respect, grounded in reality rather than fantasy. This freedom is not about rejecting love or tenderness, but about embracing them with eyes wide open. It is about seeing softness as strength and vulnerability as a form of courage. So how do we apply these insights in daily life? Start by observing. Notice the ways power moves in your relationships, how influence is exerted, how emotions shape decisions, and how roles shift. Pay attention to patterns, not just in others but in yourself. Practice honesty with yourself about your desires and fears. Reflect on how societal expectations have shaped your beliefs about gender and power. Question these beliefs and be willing to revise them. Seek relationships that encourage mutual growth, where both partners can express their power authentically. Value differences as sources of strength, not threats. Cultivate your own will to power, not as a quest for dominance, but as a commitment to self-mastery and clarity. This means developing emotional resilience, intellectual curiosity, and ethical integrity. Remember that power is not a zero-sum game. When one person grows stronger, it can lift others as well. Healthy power dynamics create spaces where all participants can thrive. In the end, the truths about love, women, and power challenge us to become more awake and more whole. They ask us to look beyond simple categories and comfortable myths, and to engage with the rich complexity of life. If you are willing to take this journey, you will find that clarity brings peace, not by eliminating challenge, but by equipping you to face it with wisdom. Thank you for joining me in this exploration. If these ideas stirred something in you, please share this video and subscribe for more discussions that cut through illusion and seek deeper understanding. Until next time, stay curious, stay courageous, and keep seeking the truth beneath the surface.